Dreams are the unfalsified manifestations of unconscious creative activity. Dr. Emil Richter, a renowned 72-year-old psychiatrist, admired the view from his office at the Burghölzli Sanatorium. His hands, wrinkled with time and marked by decades of dedication to the human mind, held a yellowed letter. It was an invitation, coming from a former colleague, to a conference on the work of Carl Jung, a name that for Emil evoked a whirlwind of memories and questions. Emil and Jung had been contemporaries in the halls of medicine, young idealists who shared a passion for unraveling the mysteries of the psyche. But while Emil followed the traditional path of psychiatry, anchored in Freud's theories, Jung dared to explore the depths of the collective unconscious, opening doors to a world of archetypes, symbols, and myths. The rupture between them had been painful, a wound that time had not completely healed. Emil saw Jung's journey as a dangerous detour, speculation without scientific basis. Jung, in turn, considered Emil's approach limited, incapable of capturing the complexity of human experience. Now, years later, Emil found himself at a crossroads. The letter challenged him to reconsider his judgment, to confront the legacy of a man who, in the eyes of many, had become a beacon in the darkness of the soul. The conference promised to uncover the 9 keys to being seen as a luxury, not an option, an intriguing title that echoed Emil's own search for meaning in his old age. The truth is that Emil felt increasingly obsolete. His methods, once so effective, seemed to lose their luster in the face of new generations of therapists who looked to Jung for an alternative to the reductionism of modern medicine. His patients, once grateful for his wisdom, now questioned him about his dreams, his symbols, his individual journey. Jung's image, projected in the books and articles that Emil leafed through with increasing frequency, haunted him. Here was a he, man who was not afraid of controversy, who dared to delve into the unknown, who turned healing into a journey of self-discovery. A man who, in the eyes of the world, was seen as a luxury, something rare and valuable, not just one option among many others. The question that was going through Emil's mind was, what made Jung so special? What were these 9 keys that transformed him into an object of desire, a guru of the soul, a master of individuality? And most importantly, could Emil, in his advanced age, learn from his former colleague and restore the lost luster of his own practice? The sun has completely set, plunging the office into shadow. Emil sighed, the letter still between his fingers. The decision was made. He would go to the conference. He needed to understand Jung's secret, not only to renew his career, but to find in the labyrinth of his own life a new meaning for his work and his existence. The trip to the conference was both a physical and introspective journey. Emil watched the Swiss landscape pass by from the train window, the snow-capped mountain peaks, contrasting with the green fields and picturesque villages. Each image evoked memories of his youth, his dreams of greatness, and his ambition to make a difference in the world. However, the shadow of doubt followed him. Was he too old to change? Would he be able to absorb Jung's complex ideas after so many years of resistance? And most importantly, was he willing to admit that he was wrong, to recognize that his former colleague had walked a deeper and more meaningful path? The conference took place in an old monastery, transformed into a study center. The environment was full of history, with its stone walls, colorful stained glass windows, and labyrinthine corridors. Emil felt like an intruder in that place, a stranger in a world of young therapists, eager for new things and full of enthusiasm. On the first day, the lectures were dense and theoretical. The speakers, all experts in Jung's work, spoke about archetypes, synchronicity, individuation, and the collective unconscious. Emil tried hard to follow his reasoning, but he felt that the words were slipping through his mind without leaving a lasting mark. That evening, during dinner, he sat alone, at a table, watching the other participants interact with ease. He felt isolated, a castaway in a sea of ideas. It was then that a young therapist named Anna approached and introduced herself. Anna was a woman of about 30, with bright eyes and a welcoming smile. She had read Emil's works and admired his dedication to psychiatry. Surprised by her kindness, Emil accepted the invitation to join her and other colleagues in an informal conversation. Little by little, Emil felt more at ease. Anna and the other therapists encouraged him to share his experiences and question Jung's ideas. They didn't see him as a grumpy old man, but as a respected veteran with valuable experience to share. During the conversation, Anna mentioned the 9 keys to being seen as a luxury, not an option. She explained that for Jung, the key to success was not in following ready-made formulas or pleasing the public, but in cultivating authenticity, integrity and passion for his work. Jung believed that every therapist is unique, with their own talents, their own experiences, and their own view of the world, Anna said. For him, a luxury therapist is one who knows himself deeply, who accepts his imperfections, and who is dedicated to helping his patients find their own path. Anna's words resonated deeply with Emil. He realized that, over the years, he had lost himself amid the expectations of others, forgetting himself and his own values. Perhaps he thought the key to becoming a luxury was not in imitating Jung, but in rediscovering one's own essence. In the following days, Emil dedicated himself to absorbing every detail of the conference with a new perspective. He put aside his critical stance and opened up to Jung's ideas, trying to understand what made them so attractive to new generations of therapists. Participated in workshops on dream analysis, art therapy, and active meditation. He spoke with patients who had benefited from the Jungian approach, witnessing firsthand the transformative power of individuation. He observed how the most experienced therapists guided their patients with empathy and wisdom, without imposing their own opinions or solutions. One of the keys that caught Emil's attention the most was the importance of self-analysis. Jung believed that a therapist could only help his patients to know themselves deeply, if he himself had gone through a process of self-knowledge. This involved exploring their own dreams, their own traumas, and their own patterns of behavior. Emil realized that he had neglected this fundamental aspect of his training. Over the years, he had focused on studying others, on analyzing their problems, without bothering to look inside himself. Maybe, he thought, that was the reason he felt so stale and dissatisfied. Another important key was the ability to integrate intellectual knowledge with intuition and personal experience. Jung valued reason and logic, but also recognized the importance of the unconscious and the wisdom of the body. He encouraged his followers to trust their instincts, to pay attention to the signs and synchronicities that life presented to them. Emil had always been a rational man, attached to facts and evidence. But as he listened to the stories of other conference attendees, he began to realize that life is more complex than science can explain. There were mysteries that defied logic, coincidences that seemed to have a greater purpose, and connections that transcended time and space. One night, after a long debate session, Emil sat alone in the monastery garden, contemplating the stars. The sky was clear and the moon shone brightly, illuminating the ancient stone walls. Suddenly he remembered a dream he had had in his youth, a dream he had long forgotten. In the dream, he was lost in a dark forest, not knowing where to go. Suddenly a mysterious figure appeared, dressed in dark clothes and with a face covered by a veil. The figure offered him a flashlight, saying, "The light is within you. Just turn it on." Emil had always interpreted this dream as a symbol of his search for knowledge, but that night he realized that the light was not in knowledge, but in being. The lantern represented your own essence, your ability to love, forgive, create, and connect with others. The awakening to this new understanding was like a ray of sunlight breaking through the dark clouds that hung over Emil's mind. He felt revitalized, as if he had been reborn. From that moment on, he decided to dedicate himself to exploring his own unconscious, to rediscovering his own light. He began practicing meditation, recording his dreams, and connecting with nature. He read books on mythology, religion, and philosophy, seeking insights into his own journey. He talked to friends and family, opening his heart and sharing his doubts and fears. Little by little, Emil began to feel more authentic and complete. He discovered talents and passions that he had neglected over the years, such as painting and music. He began to dedicate himself more to his patients, listening to them more carefully and offering them more genuine support. He realized that the key to being seen as a luxury was not having a fancy degree or an innovative technique, but rather being a person of integrity and compassion, able to connect with the pain and suffering of others. A luxury therapist, he thought, is one who gives his body and soul to his work, who truly cares about the well-being of his patients. On the last day of the conference, Emil felt transformed. He was no longer the skeptical and embittered old psychiatrist who had arrived in Zurich. He was a renewed man, full of hope and enthusiasm, ready to face life's challenges with courage and wisdom. During the closing ceremony, Anna approached Emil and gave him a small gift, a book by Carl Jung signed by the author himself. "I hope this book inspires you to continue your journey of self-discovery," she said. "You have so much to offer the world." Emil was moved by Anna's gesture. He thanked her with a sincere hug and promised that he wouldn't let her words fall into oblivion. He kept the book with care like a precious treasure. Before leaving for home, Emil visited Carl Jung's grave in the Küsnacht cemetery. He remained silent for a few minutes, paying tribute to the man who had changed his life. "Thank you, Jung," he whispered. "You showed me the way back to myself." Upon returning to his office in Burghölzli, Emil felt that he was entering a new chapter in his life. You decided to renovate your workspace, making it more welcoming and inspiring. He adopted a more holistic approach to his sessions, integrating Jung's ideas with his own therapeutic techniques. To his surprise, his patients began to respond more positively. They felt more comfortable sharing their fears and dreams, more confident in their ability to overcome their problems. Little by little, Emil's reputation as a luxury therapist spread throughout the city. The change was not immediate, of course. There were moments of doubt, frustration, and relapse. But Emil persevered, remaining true to his new principles and values. He learned to deal with patients' resistance, to respect their limits, and to celebrate their progress. He discovered that the key to success was not having all the answers, but asking the right questions. He encouraged his patients to explore their own dreams, their own symbols, and their own myths. It helped them reconnect with their intuition, trust their instincts, and follow their own path. Over time, Emil became a master in the art of helping others become the best version of themselves. His patients saw him as a wise and compassionate guide, a beacon of hope in the midst of darkness, and he, in turn, felt grateful to have the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. Emil's fame as a luxury therapist spread not only throughout the city but throughout Switzerland. People of all ages and from all social classes sought his services, eager to try his innovative method. His schedule was always busy, and he felt fulfilled being able to help so many people. Emil also began giving lectures and workshops on Jung's work, sharing his experiences and insights with other therapists. He became a mentor to many young professionals, inspiring them to follow their own hearts and cultivate their own authenticity. One day, Emil received an invitation to participate in a documentary about the life and work of Carl Jung. He hesitated to accept, as he did not like appearing in public. But after reflecting on the matter, he decided it was a unique opportunity to honor his former colleague and convey his message to an even larger audience. During filming, Emil shared his memories of Jung, his moments of conflict, and his moments of reconciliation. He spoke about the 9 keys to being seen as a luxury, not an option, explaining how they had helped him transform his life and career. The documentary was a huge success, being shown in several countries and receiving numerous awards. Emil became a celebrity overnight, being invited to television shows, magazine interviews, and social events. But he didn't let fame go to his head. He remained humble and faithful to his principles, continuing to dedicate himself to his work with the same passion and enthusiasm as always. In his final years of life, Emil became a living legend. He was seen as an example of wisdom, integrity, and compassion. His patients loved him, his colleagues respected him, and his friends admired him. He had found his purpose in life and was living it fully. And so, Dr. Emil Richter, the ancient skeptic, the traditional psychiatrist, became a symbol of transformation and renewal. He personified the idea that it is never too late to change, to learn, to grow. He demonstrated that true wealth is not in money or power, but in the ability to love, forgive, and connect with others. The 9 keys to being seen as a luxury, not. Fan option, which he initially viewed with suspicion, turned out to be a guide to a more authentic and meaningful life. He learned that self-knowledge, knowing yourself deeply, is the first step to helping others. Authenticity, be true to yourself without masks or pretensions. Integrity, act in accordance with your values, even when no one is looking. Passion, love what you do. Dedicate yourself to work with enthusiasm and joy. Empathy, put yourself in someone else's shoes, understand their feelings and needs. Humility, recognize your limitations, learn from your mistakes and always be open to new ideas. Respect, value each person's individuality without judgment or prejudice. Compassion, feel the pain of others and offer support and comfort. Gratitude, be grateful for the blessings in tow. Life, value the little things and recognize the good in others. On his deathbed, surrounded by his loved ones, Emil smiled serenely. He knew that he had fulfilled his mission on earth, that he had left a legacy of love and hope. "Life is a precious gift," he whispered. "Enjoy every moment, follow your hearts, and never give up on your dreams." With one last breath, Emil closed his eyes and passed into eternity. But his story continued to inspire generations of therapists who sought in his example a path to a more human and transformative practice. And so, Emil Richter's name became synonymous with luxury, not in the material sense, but in the deepest and truest sense, the luxury of being a complete, fulfilled, and happy person. And you, dear viewer, were you touched by the story of Dr. Emil Richter? Have you discovered any keys that resonate with your own journey? If so, don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your voice, know what you think, and how this story inspired you. And if you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like, so we can reach more people with this message of hope and transformation. Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this, which will help you walk your own path to authenticity and fulfillment. And share this video with your friends and family so they too can benefit from Carl Jung's wisdom and Emil Richter's example. Together we can build a more human, compassionate, and happy world.